Thank you for turning to page 121. In keeping with my theme, I'm going to take one more look at a cleric item out of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Notice I've been only doing cleric items and only out of the DMG. That's on purpose. I just wanted to see what I could find that was still really good in just the DMG. So we get the Pearl of Wisdom. Pearl of Wisdom. Although it appears to be a normal pearl, a Pearl of Wisdom will cause a cleric to increase 1 point in Wisdom if he or she retains the pearl for 1 month period. This increase happens at the expiration of 30 days, but thereafter the pearl must be retained by the cleric and kept on his or her person, or the 1 point gain will be lost. Note that 1 in 20 of these magical pearls is cursed to work in reverse, but once the 1 point of wisdom is lost, the pearl turns to powder, and the loss is permanent, barring some magical restoration means such as a wish or a tome of understanding. So you get a point of wisdom. Yay! That's actually pretty good, because clerics gain extra spells based on their wisdom. So if you get that point of wisdom, you might get a couple extra first or second level spells depending on what your wisdom was to begin with. I like this magic item. I like stuff that increases stats but takes a while to do so. So in other words, this takes a month. So the player gets it and they can go adventuring, do whatever they want to do, but they have to wait the 30 days before they get the benefit of the pearl, and they have to keep it on them thereafter. Now, keeping it on them thereafter is kind of an open thing. It's open to interpretation, in my opinion, because they have to retain it, but I don't make them physically be carrying the pearl every second of every day, because that's just not practical. There are times when you're just not carrying something, and I allow it to be that you are carrying it, but you've taken the pouch off and you've set it down over there and you're going to sleep for the night. You don't have to have it physically on you, you just have to have it near you. This is more of an old school limit in case other players wanted to grab it and stuff like that. We used to have that all the time, where some players would just go out of their way to deprive other players of magic items. We had that, unfortunately, a fair amount in the earliest days of D&D. So if somebody knew that the pearl had to be retained, next thing you know, someone else would be trying to pick pockets, take the pearl away, just to take away the point. Yes, I played with some questionable individuals in my earliest days. This is going back to my very early days of D&D. This would be back in 81, 82, right around in there. We matured after that, and a lot of the folks that were bringing a lot of the negative energy ended up not staying with the game, or our groups split away, or something. We just kind of generally improved the lot of what we were doing. But as far as the pearl itself, gaining the 1 point, I do cost the 30 days, and the pearl must be retained by the cleric and kept on his or her person. So you can carry it around in a pouch or a pocket as a good luck charm, but like I said, it's not an every second of every day kind of thing. There are going to be times when you don't want to be carrying something around. So I allow it to be set down as long as it is retained by the cleric. In other words, if he decides he's going to go adventuring and he decides he's going to leave that at home, while he's still retaining it, it doesn't fulfill the in the pocket part of it. So I do actually not allow that. If the player decides that they're going to do that, I say, okay, you're going to lose the point of wisdom. I also don't allow the point of wisdom to work on a player more than once. In other words, they can't get a different pearl of wisdom and gain a point of wisdom, nor can they set this one down, walk away from it for 2 months, and then come back and regain the wisdom off the same pearl. I also don't allow the same pearl to be passed around the party. That was a big thing in our earliest days of D&D. Players would pass around magic items and all of a sudden everybody would be gaining benefits from it. I actually have the Pearl of Wisdom become non-magical in all senses except for being retained by the player that gained the point of wisdom. And as long as they retain it, that slight magic power keeps the point of wisdom with them. It's just an interesting magic item. I like it. I like limiting new stats, because let's face it, if you're going to be adding stats to the game, pretty soon the game can get out of control. We found that out early in D&D. We calmed it down once we kind of matured in our role-playing a little bit, but let's face it, every time you get a new game, at least one of the first things that we think to do is go ahead and push it to its limits to see what you can get and how it plays when you're playing on the high end of it. And the answer was, we didn't really care for the real high end of it, and we learned that pretty quickly, so we played a lot more medium stuff, and now we have legacy characters that are over 40 years old, so some of those characters are really, really powerful, but they don't come out all that often. My personal preference to run D&D is somewhere around 4th to 7th, 4th to 8th level. That's my favorite. It's been my favorite for a very long time because the players are strong enough that you can actually do stuff with them, but they're not so strong that they can overwhelm whatever it is you're throwing at them. So the challenge is still there. There are plenty of benefits of playing a very low-level game or playing a very high-level game. It's just that my personal preference is between 4 to 8. It's just where I like to DM. It's also really where I like to play as a player. But that's all I've got to say today about the Pearl of Wisdom. Let me know what you think. Leave your pearls of wisdom in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Tell your friends about the channel. Let's keep it growing. Also take a look at the Patreon. Help me keep the channel thriving that way too. That's all I've got for today on page 121. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.